They say the live is on. I was just waiting for Facebook to come on. Facebook is on. Instagram is on. We make sure we got our title in here. I know how we do. If you don't know, actually, let me wait till some people come in. So I'm actually talking to some humans. As y'all are checking in, if you don't know what time it is, I'm about to tell you in a minute. I'll show you the face of my watch in a moment. As y'all are checking in, if you didn't know, now you know. My name is Dre Baldwin. I'm going to introduce myself formally in a moment. I'm going to give everybody like 30 seconds to come in here and populate the room. Fill in the seats at the front. Don't be shy. We are going to get started in about 30 seconds. I'm going to give everybody a moment to come in. Check yourself in the comment section. Let me know your name and where you are checking in from. And we are going to get to it. I'm going to let me know where y'all checking in from as y'all come in. We are going to get to it. Sports Lover said humans. Yes, I'm assuming you're a human unless you're a bot. Sports Lover, are you a person or are you a bot? I think you're a person. Darby said, I took your advice and stayed off social media for a bit. Much better. That's what's up. All right, shout out to everybody who took a social media shower and stayed off it for a minute. Darby, I have not seen you on the calendar for that live 20-minute call. Go to WOYFG.com. Darby, you said you would get on that list. Get on that call, WOYFG.com. Mozart Gates said, buckle up. Yes, buckle up, snowflakes. I'm about to give out work. Yeah, today is one of those topics. Today is another one of those. So as y'all checking in, I got Facebook on my left. I got Instagram on my right. And, once I get a couple more devices, once I get me another tablet and another phone, then I can have Periscope and YouTube. I want to go live. I want to have 4 cameras all at the same time. But right now, due to the racial injustice happening in America, I only got 2 devices. Well, actually 3, because I got my actual all-time phone is right here, and then I got these 2. But when the racial injustice clears up, I'll have 4 devices, and I could do YouTube and Periscope all at the same time. We got Troy checking in from St. Louis. Was good. As y'all coming in, shout yourself out. We got Ice D Juro. Ice D Juro checking in from California. California's a big place, Ice D Juro. But shout out to everybody checking in from California. We got Brentwood, California, right on time. As y'all checking in, shout yourself out. We're going to get started in 10 seconds. I'm going to introduce myself, introduce the topic. We're getting right into it. Whoever's late is late. Y'all know what I say. To be early is on time is late, late is forgotten. Now, for those of you who don't know me, we got Rodney from upstate New York. Shout out to, what's that group that's from New York? Griselda. Shout out to Griselda. I listened to their album. I actually like some of that. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. We got Cam from Rhode Island. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. Former 9-year professional athlete, author of 27 books. That's 27. I've done 4 TED Talks. I've created over 15,000 pieces of content online over the last 15 years. I'm not telling you that to impress you, but to impress upon you. Everything that I'm talking about here today, I have said somewhere at some point before. I'm not making any of this up on the spot. I've been talking about these things all around this philosophy that's called work on your game. What is it about? It's about taking the mental tools necessary to get to the top 1% in sports and how to do the same thing in your business and in your life. Take those tools and apply them to your business and to your life. And you need to be the top 1% at being you. That's the one thing that everybody can be at the top 1% of. You ain't got to worry about what anybody else is doing. What we're talking about here today is why equality is impossible. I thought of this topic actually, I think this was 2 days ago, or maybe it was yesterday. I was on my morning walk and I was just talking in the story, and I asked people which one you want me to talk about. Yesterday's topic was, I can't remember. Yesterday was how to know when you're in a bubble. If you're living in a bubble, I'm not talking about like a COVID bubble to keep the cases down. I'm talking about a mental bubble versus how equality is impossible. Because a lot of days we got people talking about equality. I saw Nike posted something like, we support our athletes in their mission to achieve racial equality, or to undo or to fight against racial injustice or inequality, something that they said. It didn't make any sense. I said, how are y'all going to fight against inequality? They said racial inequality. I didn't know racial inequality, not in the way that people are talking about. They're like, all right, well, if a white person got this and a black person got that and the white person's is more, that's racial inequality. Well, it's inequality, but it's not necessarily due to race. This is the problem, because inequality is always going to exist. But as I get into this, y'all going to understand what I'm saying. For those of you who don't know how these go, I'm introducing the topic right now. I'm going to give you some points, which I always do. Shout out to Matt from LA. Is that Louisiana or Los Angeles, Matt? So I'm going to give you some points. Then I'm going to tell you how you can get this publication right here in front of me for free. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about this publication as well. There's only less than 10% of what I publish, but there's a lot of more material, but I don't want to confuse y'all. Then I'm going to recap the points. Then I'm going to answer every question in the comment section. So anything that I say you got a question about, a comment, a concern, a criticism, anything that you want to offer, post it in the comment. Don't say nothing crazy because you will get blocked. But other than that, you can say whatever you want. Just be respectful of me, yourself, and everybody else who is in here. So now let's get into the topic. Since equality seems to be one of the main talking points for what we got going on right now, whatever you want to call this civil unrest, this fight for social justice, I don't even know what we're calling this. Is there a phrase for this? I guess we'll just call it civil unrest. That's a phrase that everybody can use. It's race neutral, it's gender neutral. Nobody can get mad at that phrase. So let's just say this civil unrest is going on. People seem to be talking about equality. There's a key talking point for any advocates of, I guess, what they're calling social justice. They're trying to get social justice, which again, I don't even know what some of these phrases are even meaning. I don't think the people using them even mean. But right now, it's fine if that's what people want. If people want social justice, cool. The problem is it is not possible to force equality on human beings. It is not possible that you can create a system that will make everyone equal. It's not possible for a system to be implemented that will make everyone equal. So if we're talking about inequality as if it's a problem, this is what I've been hearing. And the funny thing is, the last couple of days when I'm on social media, on Twitter specifically, I'm hearing from people who are not even black, who are arguing with me why the battle against equality is a just one and it makes sense, and why these things should be happening, at least from their avatars. They don't look like they're black. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my eyes are deceiving me. Who knows? But it seems to be so many people are bought into this whole thing of this inequality, this injustice of the fact that there is not balance between one race and another, specifically with black people, somehow, some way being at the back or the bottom of the totem pole or in a losing position, which I personally take offense to because I'm black. I don't feel like I'm at the bottom of the totem pole against anyone of any other race. That doesn't mean that I got more than everybody, but it also doesn't mean I don't have the opportunity and potential to do what I need to do for myself. And I don't have the ability to do what I need to do for myself. That's the part that I really don't like, that people seem to think. First of all, black people thinking, well, yeah, we need the system or the government or I guess Joe Biden to do something that's going to make things more balanced for us because there are white people out there who have more than me or you or whoever. And then on the other side, you got these social justice warriors. And when I say social justice warriors, I'm talking about people who are not black, but who are arguing on behalf of the black cause. And I put that in quotes because they don't represent all black people. But they believe that, yes, black people need help and there needs to be things done to make the system more equal and so that everybody has the same opportunities and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, well, that part I don't like because I don't like the feeling, being a black person, of there being other groups of people, I don't care what color they are, thinking that the only way that black people can achieve and aspire and move up is if some white people or some Asian people or some fill in the blank people come in and lend black people a hand, as if black people ain't capable of doing for themselves. Which is why just last week I did a live called How to Do for Self. So if y'all understand, as I said earlier, everything that I talk about here, I have talked about each one of these points before. So anything that I say that you're like, I like that point, Dre, but can you explain how to do that? I guarantee I've already explained how to do it. If you don't know where to find it, let me know and I'll tell you where to find it, because all this material is public. All right, all this stuff, when I said I published 15,000 pieces of content, those are not private or unlisted or you can't find them. All right, they are on the internet. I'll tell you where to look so you can find all that material, or I'll also tell you where you can join where all the material is already organized for you so you don't have to look for it. All that being said, it is impossible for us to create a system that's going to force equality on all of us as long as we have capitalism in America. So assuming that capitalism is not going away, I don't think Bernie Sanders is ever going to win the presidency. He might be dead by the time the next election rolls around. Not to wish that on anybody, but y'all get what I'm saying. Bernie Sanders probably not going to win he ain't going to win no election. He tried a couple times and failed. It's pretty much a rat for him like it's a rat for Hillary. So assuming that we're not going to get any type of communism in America or socialism in America. Actually, you know what? I should take that back, because there's a whole bunch of other people who are on this too. AOC is on this, Bernie's on this, and Bernie has fans. So he probably got disciples coming up in the game who are much younger than him. So maybe we will. So as long as we got capitalism, just to say that, you cannot force equality. All that being said, let's talk about why it's impossible to force equality, or why equality is impossible in the world that we live in, assuming that we're talking America, okay? I'm talking just about America. I'm not talking anywhere else. I haven't lived anywhere else. I'm unqualified to speak on those countries. Number one, reason why equality is impossible: human choice. Equality is impossible because every human being has choices as to what they actually do. So what does this mean? No matter what the system is, no matter how you set things up, those systems are all going to be made for human beings to act and work and live within those systems, right? No matter what the system is, there are human beings inside of it, right? Right now, I'm in a condominium building. There are human beings in this building. All the dwellings are set up the same way. I mean, they're not all, some of them got one bedroom, some of them got three, some of them got two. Maybe you got a couple studios in here, and maybe the kitchen is different, but y'all get what I'm saying. They're all pretty much the same. The thing is, if you look in my place where we live, and you just walk in and just look, all right, and just take, what do you think of the cleanliness of this place? Then you go in the next door neighbor's place and you think of the cleanliness of theirs. Then you go on the next one and the next one and the next one. You're going to see a whole gamut of different things. You're going to see people whose cribs are dirty as shit. You're going to see people whose places are clean. You're going to see people with clothes on the floor, people with their dogs all over the place, people who look like they never cleaned up. They've been living there 6 months, never cleaned it once. People who look like a war zone that somebody just ran through there and had a party and never cleaned up after the party. Is all different. You're going to see all different ways that people are living, even though the system is exactly the same. Why is this? This is not a bad thing. This is because human beings are human. Human beings will make different choices because we all live in different ways. We all make different decisions, and we are all unique. As they say, no two people are exactly the same. No two thumbprints are exactly the same. All humans, being that we're different, we all make different choices. We all respond differently to various stimuli. If it's hot outside, like right now it's like 90 degrees outside. I have the balcony door open. It's about to be 80 something. By the time I'm done this live, it's going to be 80 something degrees in this where I am right now, and that's very hot. Some of you will be very uncomfortable with that, and you will want to close the door and turn the AC up, and sometimes I do that. But we respond differently to different types of weather. Some people couldn't even live in a town like Miami because the sun is hitting me right now. It's like 90 something outside, it's like 80 something in here, and if you didn't know, if you don't do these live streams like that, talking like this takes more energy than it seems like it takes. So your body temperature rises. It gets hot when I'm doing this, simply because of the energy that it takes, and not everybody can deal with that. I'm telling you all that to tell you this. Not everybody responds to things the same way. Even if you create a system that is designed, the very point of the system, by very smart people, it is designed to even the playing field, level the playing field, imbalances will still occur. Let me give you an example. All right, everybody here has heard of the minimum wage, right? Hopefully, none of you is earning the minimum wage. Hopefully, everybody's earning more than that. But even if you are, you're probably working on leveling yourself up. Everybody's heard of the minimum wage, right? And you hear how sometimes, every now and then actually, there's a movement by certain people who are earning the minimum wage. They want to raise the minimum wage, right? We want to raise the local minimum wage. We want to raise the federal minimum wage, whatever it is, we want it to be more. And then people make their arguments. Well, making this minimum wage, working this many hours a week is below the poverty level, or we got to be able to eat, and inflation is going up this much, and y'all are charging this much, and the CEO is making this much. So there's all this argument, right, about the minimum wage, why the minimum wage needs to go up. Here's what a lot of people don't understand about the minimum wage. It's very paradoxical about how it works. People think that when the minimum wage gets raised, let's say the national minimum wage is a federal law. So let's say I own a business. I'm a McDonald's franchisee. So I'm paying my employees at McDonald's. What's the minimum wage right now? Somebody tell me what the minimum wage is. I don't know. Let's just say it's $11. So somebody can fill in and tell me what it is if you know. Now, and I'm not knocking anybody who makes the minimum wage. Because when I worked at McDonald's as a senior in high school, whatever the minimum wage was, that's what I was making. All right, I don't know what it was, but I was making that. All right, it was 5 something back then, back in the day. But if that was the minimum wage, that's what I was getting. I know I wasn't getting a penny over that. Whatever it is, let's say it's $11, right? I own a McDonald's. So now, $11. Somebody said, all right. So now, the minimum wage gets raised. Who's the president? Trump. Let's just say Biden now, because people think Trump will never do it. So let's say Biden wins, and Biden dies, and Kamala is the president. She raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Now I got to pay $15 an hour to my employees at McDonald's that I was just paying $11 an hour. What am I going to do? Now this is what people think happens. Let's say I got 20 employees and I'm paying them all $11 an hour. Now the law says I got to pay them $15. So now that just means more money, instead of going in my pocket, is going in their pocket now, right? Now I got to pay $4 more per hour to each one of my staff. And that is true. But here's what actually happens when the minimum wage gets raised. 2 things happen. Number one, and studies have been done on this. Number one, employers get rid of people. They cut staff. So instead of me paying 20 people $15 an hour when I was paying them 11, now you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna fire 5 people, and now I'm gonna make those 15 that remain, now they gotta work that much harder to earn that $15 an hour. Why? Because I don't want all that money coming out of my pocket extra. So I'm gonna get rid of some people. So some people who thought they were celebrating because the minimum wage got raised, the problem is the next day they find out they don't have a job anymore. Why? Because I don't want that cash outlay coming out of my pocket anymore. And here's the second thing that happens when the minimum wage goes up. Instead of me hiring these mofos who were worth $11 an hour, I'm like, all right, well, I got to spend $15 an hour. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go find some $15 hour motherfuckers to come work for me because y'all only worth $11. So if I got to pay 15, you know what? I'm going to go find some better equipped people to work for me. Since I got to pay more money, let me go find some better people. Doesn't that just make sense? This is what happens, and this is the things that people don't think about when you think about a program like the raising the minimum wage. This is just an example, ladies and gentlemen, okay? So I'm not an economist, but these are things that happen, and I've read about this. There's studies been done on this. When you raise the minimum wage, people who are low-skilled individuals, they lose their jobs, and they get replaced by people with higher levels of skill. What if I had to pay $100 an hour? I'm not paying the same $11 an hour people $100 an hour. I'm gonna go find somebody better than them, 10 times better than them, so I can pay them 10 times the money. This is what happens. So the purpose of the minimum wage being raised is supposedly to level the playing field so the people down at the bottom can make more money. But the problem is they end up making no money. They end up losing their jobs, not all of them, but they end up losing their jobs because the minimum wage went up. And what people think is going to help them, but it actually slows them down. The point of me telling you that story or that anecdote is this: that when you create systems that are supposedly going to level the playing field, human beings make choices that lead to unintended consequences. So an unintended consequence of that particular example that I'm giving is the exact opposite of what the program is supposed to do. This is why, and again, there are people who write about this stuff, you should not depend on the government to create balance for you, because the smartest people out there who could actually create the right system, they don't work in the government. You know what the smartest people do? Are they in, what's that place called out there in California? Silicon Valley. They are in Austin. They are building businesses. They are building programs. They have equity. They own their own companies. They are getting with other smart people, and they're solving the world's problems. The Elon Musk, the Steve Jobs, the whoever else out there, I can't even think of their name. Mark Zuckerbergs of the world. Why would they go work in the government? Why? There's no reason. Really, really, really smart people do not take jobs in the government. The most smart people that you ever met, you will never meet a super, super smart individual who just decided, you know what, I want to give my life to the government. All right. And I'm not saying people who work in government are stupid, but I am saying the smartest people don't work there. So you can draw whatever conclusion you want from that. The best conclusions that will solve imbalances will be solved by entrepreneurs. They are not solved by people who work in government. The government is very bureaucratic. It is not about the truth. It's about people saving their careers. You can't maximize your income potential working for the government with all your intelligence. Why would anybody go work there? Not because they're smart. Nobody works in the government because they're smart. Again, if you work in the government, it's not a knock on you, but tell me that I'm lying. Anyway, what I'm saying here, if you stripped all Americans, I'll give you another example. This is something that I've heard people say this in different ways before. Let's say you took everybody who lives in America right now, right? And you took everybody's money. You took everything that everybody has. Everybody's broke. Everybody. So the richest person in the world, Bill Gates, what's the guy's name? Warren Buffett. Everybody's down to zero. Nobody has any money, right? And we give everybody $1 million apiece. I got $1 million. You got $1 million. You got $1 million. You got $1 million. Everybody has exactly $1 million to their name. We deposit it straight to your bank account. What's going to happen within a few years? Anybody know? If you stripped everybody of everything and everyone goes right back to zero, and then you just give everyone $1 million. Everybody got $1 million to live, and everything, what it costs right now, costs exactly the same. All prices are exactly the same, but everybody has $1 million. What's going to happen? Within a few years, here's what's going to happen. The people who were broke before are going to be broke again, and the people who had a whole lot of money before are going to have a whole lot of money again. Why is this? Is it because the people who have a whole lot of money are robbing the other people? Is it because the people who have a whole lot of money created a system of oppression to take money from other people? Is it because it's an unjust system? Is it because of white privilege? No, it's not because of any of those things. Here's why. It is because it is not the tangible stuff that creates inequalities, ladies and gentlemen. It's not tangible things that create inequalities. It is the intangibles. You know what intangibles are? Skills, knowledge, decision, emotional control, making choices, discernment, personal judgment. Those are the things that create inequalities. Therefore, there is no system you can create that's going to cause all people to have the same skills or have the same thoughts or make the same decisions or react to the same things the same ways. Therefore, it is impossible. As I already said in the title, it is fundamentally impossible to manufacture equality because human beings are all unique. Human beings have different thought patterns. Human beings make different decisions. No matter what you set up. Again, if you took everybody's money away, give everybody $1 million, the people who were broke before will be broke again, and the people who were rich before will be rich again, simply because the way that they think, they're intangibles. It is not because of the amount of money that they have that makes everything perfect. Give a broke person $1 million, I guarantee you within a couple of years they will be broke all over again. Not because of the money. All right, you gave them the money, you fixed the money problem, you solved the inequality, they're going to be unequal all over again. Why? Because you can't fix it that way. Point number 2. Today's topic is why equality is fundamentally impossible. Number 2 reason, because when people notice inequality, it causes, and they're told that it's something against them. So right now, the group that is doing this is black people, and this ain't new. This is something black people has been an undercurrent of this forever amongst blacks. But if you're not black, maybe you never heard of it, but this is absolutely not new. But now it's mainstream. Now it's front page. Everybody's talking about it. The talk about inequality, when you get really smart black people, really eloquent black people, I'm not even call it, we're going to call them smart. They're very smart and they're very eloquent black people. And then you get white people to jump in on their side to mimic these sayings about inequality and how inequality is the thing that's holding down the black man. And when I say man, I mean human. Holding the black man down, slowing us down, white privilege, this, that, and the third. You know what this does to the people who are supposedly the victims of inequality? Again, another unintended consequence. It causes them to believe that they are not responsible for their actions. They're not responsible for their position in life. It's just the unfairness of the situation that is causing their problem. Oh, you know what? I'm broke, but it's not my fault that I'm broke because look at all this inequality that we're having. Look at all this social injustice. Look at the fact that this cop did this. Look at the fact that we got this guy as president. Look at the fact that these white people over here have way more than me. Look at the fact that they have more opportunities than I have, or at least it looks like it. That's the reason why I don't have what I want to have in life. That's it. It causes people to stop striving to better themselves because the talk of inequality allows them. It gives people this opening to say, you know what? It's not my fault that I'm where I'm at. It's because of the system. It's because of this, this, and this. And listen, let me be clear about something. Sometimes there is some things in the system that are slowing you down. Sometimes there is some unfairness working against you. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. But here's the problem. There will always be unfairness working against somebody somewhere in life. And here's what happens. If you start to believe and you start to buy into the unfairness or the imbalance or whatever has been, you've been indoctrinated with by some person on social media trying to get famous off of your pain, understand something. It causes you to take your foot off the gas and stop working hard and stop focusing on what you need to do. And instead you start focusing on what you can complain about. The problem is there will always be something to complain about. And when you're done complaining, whenever you get tired of complaining, because you always have something to complain about, whenever you get tired of complaining, because eventually you got to pay your bills, you're going to realize you're still in the same position. You're actually probably in a worse position because the whole time you were complaining, the world was moving forward and you were standing neutral complaining about stuff. Hopefully standing neutral. That's the best case. Worst case, you're going backwards. Life is inherently unfair, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Everybody's not going to be equal. Everybody's not supposed to be equal. If you didn't know that, now you know. All right. There is no system coming in that's going to make things quote unquote even in your favor. People get so excited every 4 years about presidential elections. All right, if Joe Biden wins the election, is that going to all of a sudden mean cops stop doing whatever people think cops are doing? Is it all of a sudden going to make everything balanced between blacks and whites? Is it all of a sudden going to cure racial injustice? No, no, and no. And some people say, well, no, it's not going to do that, Dre, but it's a step forward in a positive direction. No, it's not. What is it going to do? Tell me something tangible that's going to do. Nobody can name anything. Only thing it's going to do is make people maybe feel better. If you are an anti-Trumpist, you might feel better if he's out. But after you get over that, then what? Nothing. Because people talk about the prison system. Well, that was a Democrat. That was Bill Clinton. He was a Democrat. All right, you voted for Hillary in 2016. She's married to him. All right, what do you think was going to happen? All right, now Joe's coming in. Look up Joe's track record. Look at what Kamala Harris was doing before she got into this vice president thing. Look what she was doing for a living. Oh, you mad about the prison complex? Now you're going to vote for Joe and Kamala? What do you think's going to happen next? All right, at least Trump was letting people out. Listen, we're not talking about politics here today, but anyway, people think that that's a step in the right direction. It's the first step. No, it's not the first step. The first step is to stop looking on TV and looking on the internet for solutions to problems of a people. The first step is, what are you going to do for yourself? As long as you're looking outside of yourself, you're going to keep having the same problems over and over again. They're just going to be dressed in different clothes. All right, Trump wears the red tie and he got the comb over with the hair. All right, now you're going to get Biden, and however you want to describe him, now you're going to get that. All right, the only thing different is the clothes. All right, same thing, same situations, same outcomes are going to be produced as long as you think the solution is something other than you. It doesn't matter. It's not about Biden. All right, we had Obama 8 years. Same problems existed, just people weren't talking about it because we had a black president, so nobody wanted to make noise and disturb the happiness we were supposed to have because we had a black guy. But listen, all of this stuff happens over and over again. Anyway, let me tell you something else. Let's say 80% of the NBA. I don't know if that's the exact number. Let's just say it sounds about right. 80% of the NBA are black people, black basketball players, right? But black people are only 13% of the population. Isn't that an imbalance? I mean, technically that's imbalance, right? But is that unfair? Is that an inequity? It's definitely an inequity because there are way more white people in America than there are black people. So how the hell did 80% of the NBA, very popular league, a lot of money gets made, a lot of money gets spent, a lot of contracts get given out, how did 80% of it get filled up by black people? Shouldn't we change that? Should we do something about that system to make sure that white people get equality? I mean, if it's about equality, everybody should be equal, right? Now, you're listening to me right now saying, all right, Dre, that's ridiculous. No, you might even be laughing. Of course not. Why? Because to make it to that league requires certain choices, certain decisions, and certain skills. Now, it's based on a lot more than color. It's probably not based on color at all, right? Many imbalances in life, ladies and gentlemen, are reflected by race. You can see the race imbalance in it. That doesn't mean it was caused by race. And there's a huge difference between the two. That is correlation versus causation. Correlation means one thing happened, then another thing happened. Causation is one thing happened and it made the other thing happen. For example, every day when I do this live, the sun is about right here in an angle to me. And while I'm doing it, the sun goes down. So about an hour and a half after I'm done my live, every day, the sun goes down and it begins to be evening time here in Miami. Now, if I wanted to draw the same line that a lot of people are drawing when they talk about racial imbalance or racial injustice, I could say, hey, every time I do my live, the sun goes down. That means my live stream makes the sun go down. All right, when I do my live, the sun goes down. If I didn't do it, the sun wouldn't go down. I cause the sun go down by doing my live stream. There's a correlation, and I'm saying it is causation because it's happening at the exact same time. This is what a lot of people do when they talk about imbalances. They say, well, look, white people got this, black people got that, and white people seem to be doing better. So that must mean it's caused by the fact that they're white. No, it could be caused by a whole lot of other things, like I talked about in point number 1, like the decisions that individuals are making. Maybe the decisions that your parents made. Maybe the decisions that the people in your neighborhood made. Maybe the decisions that the teachers at your schools make and the schools that you end up going to. All of these things are factored into the situation that you have and the opportunity you have in your life. And these are things that a lot of racial injustice talk would cease to exist if people understood and accepted the difference between correlation and causation. Just because two things happen at the same time does not mean they are caused by each other. There's a huge difference between the two, and a lot of one-dimensional thinking individuals can't understand that. And even those who do, they don't want to accept it, because if they accepted it, everything that they're complaining about, they could no longer complain about. Then they would actually have to find something productive to do with their time. Point number 3, today's topic is why equality is impossible. Point number 3, just because somebody has more than you does not mean that the system is against you. Stop whining like a bitch. If somebody has more than you, or they are doing better than you, or they are getting, even if you feel like they are getting more opportunity than you, and this may very well be true, does not mean that the system is against you. It does not mean that they or someone else has cheated you. And it also does not mean that something must be done to make things easier or more equitable for you. Let me say what I just said again, because I want to make sure people understand this. I think you should have learned this in like kindergarten. Maybe you learned the opposite in kindergarten, but after kindergarten, you should have learned this. Just because somebody has more than you or is doing better than you does not mean that the system is against you. It does not mean that that person or someone else cheated against you or in their favor, nor does it mean, this is the key point, that something must be changed to make things more equitable or easier for you. Everybody got that? This is, when people think this and they say these things, this is the battle cry of people who are in a position of losing. And if you lose for long enough and you start to accept it, you become a loser. But you might be losing when you're not a loser. You become a loser when you start accepting it and complaining about it. You could be losing and still be a winner, okay? When people become losers, meaning complaining about their situation rather than looking for what they can do about the situation, they use these battle cries. Somebody has more than me. It's the system. Somebody cheated. Is blank privilege, whatever group you want to give privilege to, or something must be done. Let me go protest. We need social justice. We need something got to happen. We got to vote for a new president so everything can be equal for me, as if that's going to change everything. These are what losers do. Okay, I'm on the record saying this is not the first time, won't be the last time. All right, you are looking at the food on other people's plates, and the problem with looking at the food on another person's plate is that it always looks better than the food on your plate. All right, if you keep looking at the food on other people's plates, all right, you're eventually going to get hungry. Why? Because it always looks good. And as the saying goes, the grass on your side of the fence will be greener if you would just focus on your grass and water the grass. The grass on the other side is greener because they water that grass. You're not watering your grass. You're looking at theirs. Of course it looks good because you're admiring it from far away. It should look good from that angle. If you look at your own grass and at least focus on that patch of dirt that you got there, maybe you can grow some grass there. But it requires a little bit of discipline that a lot of individuals don't want to have, especially when you are being fed over and over and over again every day by very smart, very informed people who know better. At least I think they know better. You're being told that your lot in life is not because of you. You have no responsibility for it. It's because of the system. And I, not me, but I, Mr. or Mrs. Politician, I, Mr. or Mrs. Social Activist, I, Mr. or Mrs. Al Sharpton, who are all these other people? Sean King, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. I'm going to do these things that's going to change everything for you. Even Trump, he says these things. This is all sales pitches. All right, none of these things are going to actually change your life. You can be excited about it. You can be entertained by it. You can watch it and talk about it like I do. But do not buy into thinking that that person in the government, that person on Instagram, that person on Twitter, that person with 1 million followers is going to change your life by something that they claim they're going to do is going to fix everything for this wide group of people. It does not work like that. It has never worked like that. It has never occurred in the past. None of you can name not one person who has ever achieved this in the past. This is just a sales pitch. Good thing about sales pitches and why people keep using them over and over again, because there will always be gullible, lazy individuals who are looking for someone other than themselves to solve their problems. And that's why they will buy into it. That's why political campaigns work. They work because there will always be people who want someone other than themselves to fix things for them. And that's why you get 100 million people go vote every November, because they think the politician is going to change things for them. No, they're not. I'm here to tell you that. And you can be mad at me for that, but listen, you can find out on your own, or you can take my word for it. It is your choice. I can't do anything about the choices you make. Like I said in point number 1, the reason why people starve is because you're looking at the food on other people's plate while the food on your plate is getting cold. Point number 4, last point. Today's topic is why equality is impossible. Number 4, here's your equality. I'm going to explain to you the equality that you do have. All right, that's why I got equality in quotation marks here. I'm talking about the equality that people shout about in their protests and demonstrations. But the real equality that you have is this. You got 24 hours in a day, right? You have freedom of speech living in the United States. At least if you live in the USA, you have freedom of speech. If you have access to this app, you have freedom of speech. You can pretty much say what you want, I think, in most countries. You have access to the internet if you're listening to this right now, meaning if you have access to the internet and you got a smartphone, you're listening to me right now at 5:30 p.m. Eastern on a Friday. All right, you are not the target of the government. All right, the government's not trying to help you out. Okay, if anything, the government's trying to take more money out of your check because you're making money. All right, the government is not designed to help people with smartphones who are watching live streams at 5:30 p.m. Eastern on a Friday. All right, it ain't for you. All right, the government is designed to help people who ain't got no food, no money. All right, can't talk to nobody, begging for $1 when you come off the highway. All right, it ain't made for y'all. You watching this, the government is not designed to help you. Doesn't matter who's in the White House or any other house that they got in Washington, D.C., okay? The ability to recognize where you are at in life, what you have and don't have, to identify what is missing and to fill in the blanks. That is the equality that you have. Let me say that sentence one more time. The ability to recognize where you stand in life. What is your position? Where am I at? Am I winning? Am I losing? Where am I trying to go? Where am I at relative to that ideal destination right now? You have that ability if you can understand the words that are coming out of my mouth right now. And you got a smartphone that'll help you out. You have the ability to identify what you are missing in life. Where do you need to fill in your gaps? Where am I missing skill? Where do I need to meet somebody? Where do I lack information? You have that ability, again, if you can understand what I'm saying right now. You have the ability to fill in the blanks. All right, I don't know anything about rocket science. I want to be a rocket scientist. Okay, where do I get the information? Where can I learn? Where can I check a book out from the library? I need to learn about self-discipline. Where can I get that book that Dre is always talking about every day when he does his live, which I'm going to talk about in a minute? What do I need to do to fill in the gaps of what is missing in my life? Everyone who is listening to me right now, you have the ability to ask the question. Now, whether you do it or not is, again, a choice. Like I talked about in point number 1, which is the main differentiator between human beings. It is not the base you start on. It is the choices that you make based on where you start. Here's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. I want to make sure I lay this out because some people are still going to argue with me. Well, what about this, Dre? What about that? What about the fact that these people have this and these people start out with this and it's not their fault? All right, let me address that. Not everybody gets dealt the same hand, ladies and gentlemen. Any of you ever played cards? Any of y'all gamble in Vegas? Any of y'all ever played poker or blackjack in Vegas or any other card game that you play with your friends? Does everybody get dealt the same cards? No. Why? Because there's only one of every card. Everybody does not get the same cards in life. Some people, there will always be imbalances. There always will be. Some people, if your parents started a business, let's say your great-grandparents started a business, handed down to your grandpa, handed down to your parents, and then they handed it down to you, you start life on third base. All right, you were born into a business. Donald Trump was born into an entrepreneurial family. His dad was an entrepreneur. He got born into an entrepreneurial family. His son, entrepreneurial family. That's the way that it works, right? Some people get born on third base. That's just how it works. It's not their fault. They didn't do anything wrong. It's just what they got. That's the hand that they got dealt. Any of you ever go to Vegas, you play roulette, sometimes it lands on your number or your color, and sometimes it doesn't, and you lose your chips. That's just the way that it works in life. Everything does not work the same for everybody. If your parents started a business and it gets handed down to you, you might be born on third base. That's what they say, right? If your parents were absentee parents, you didn't know your parents, or your parents were on drugs, or your parents didn't take care of you, your parents weren't actually parents, you might have been born, you're not even on first base, you're not even at home, you're not even in the stadium, right? You're outside of the stadium, all right? Sometimes that happens, and everybody else is somewhere in between, right? Some people on third base, some people on second, first, home plate, dugout, some people in the locker room, some people can't even get in the building, all right? Some of y'all can't even get inside the stadium parking lot, all right? That's the way that it works. That's the way it starts for everybody in life on some level. Everybody got that. That's the hand that you were dealt. But if you can hear what I'm saying right now, and you can understand the words that I'm saying, that means you are aware of your situation. Would everybody agree? You're aware, all right, this is my situation. I don't have this thing that this guy got. I don't have this. I'm not in the best neighborhood. My parents didn't lay a foundation for me. No, I don't have a solid, around me support system like one of my classmates had, or like one of my friends have, or like this guy on TV had. I don't have the same things that they have, but you're aware of it. That means you're conscious. You know what's going on. That means you also have the power to alter your circumstances through what? Choice and action. Through your choices and through the actions you take based on those choices, you can alter your situation. There are plenty of stories. Go to Amazon.com, go on YouTube, go on podcasts, go to the library. There are plenty of stories of people who started in situations just as bad as whatever situation you think yours was, just worse than yours, and still were able to create a success out of themselves based on two specific things: choice and action. And understand that everybody in life, next time you go outside, if you're outside right now, look around. Look at some people walking by or driving by, or if you're with somebody right now, look at that person. They are who they are based on their choices and their actions, or their lack of actions, or their lack of choices. Every single one of us, that's why we are who we are. Now, again, do inequalities exist? Of course they do. I just told you equality is impossible. Yes, inequalities exist. They will always exist. And you can change whatever inequality you think is working for you. You can keep it working for you by making more of the right choices, or more choices that will help maintain that inequality. Let's say if you were born on third base, and if you were born outside the stadium, you can make certain choices that will get you into the stadium. You can make a choice to build your own stadium. Maybe you don't want to get in that one, but you can make these choices and then take the subsequent actions that can get you where you want to go in life. But this is all based on the decisions that you make for yourself. It is not about what anybody else did or what anybody else should do, or what the system or what whoever they happen to be, whatever they are doing to you, for you, or not doing to you or for you. All that being said, this is why, now that I have laid this down, this is why equality is impossible. All that being said, now I'm going to tell you how you can get this book right here for free right now. I'm going to recap my points, and then I'm going to answer questions. So if you have a question, go ahead and post it in the comments section right now. I'm going to answer every question in the comments that is at least relevant to the topic. Keep it short when you post it. This right here is called The Mirror Motivation, Self-Guided Self-Discipline. This is the first book of mine you should read. I've written 27. You should read this one first. Why? Everybody in here who's listening understand you have things you want in life. Everybody's listening here also understands that you need to work hard to achieve your goals. Nobody here thinks you're going to get something for nothing, all right, unless you were born on third base. Thing that nobody ever asks themselves is, who do I need to be? What type of person do I need to be? How do I need to see myself? How do I need to be thinking when I make my choices and I take my actions, so that when I take these actions, I get the results that I want? Understand that when you do not have the right energy of being, you can take all the right actions and not get the right outcome, not get the thing that you want. Has any of you ever done everything right and still not gotten the outcome that you wanted? If you're thinking that, yes, right now, you're nodding your head or raising your hand, yes, right now, that is because you never asked yourself the key question, who do I need to be? I solved that problem by writing this book. It is called The Mirror of Motivation, The Self-Guide to Self-Discipline. This is the first of 4 books of mine you should read. It's called The Bulletproof Bundle. We cover discipline, confidence, mental toughness, and personal initiative. This is the first one, discipline. Get this book for free. It's already paid for. All you do is cover the shipping by going to mirrorofmotivation.com. Again, that's the title of the book, mirrorofmotivation.com. It is the pinned comment right here on IG, and it's right down below on Facebook. Mirrorofmotivation.com. You're watching these lives and you don't have this book, this is your next step. You watch the live, now get the book, mirrorofmotivation.com. Now, let me recap my points and I'm taking questions. I saw we had a few. Why equality is impossible? Very quickly. Number 1, human choice. No matter the system or the way things set up, the system is made for humans, and human beings are different. We all make different choices. That's why we have different results. Number 2, talking about inequality in a negative way, like a woe is me way, causes people, those who feel like the inequities are against them, that they're not responsible for their actions, just the unfairness of life. The problem is there will always be unfairness, and you will never achieve anything if that's the way that you think. Point number 3, just because somebody has more than you does not mean that the system is against you, doesn't mean they cheated you, and it doesn't mean something needs to be edited to make it easier for you. This is the battle cry of losers because they're not focused on their own plate. That's why their food is going cold. Number 4, your equality is that you got 24 hours in the day, freedom of speech, internet access, the ability to recognize where you're at, what you have, what you're missing, and identify and fill in the blanks. Truth is, not everybody gets dealt the same hand. If you were born on first base, third base, fifth base, or no base at all, if you're aware of it, that means you can do something about it. You have the power to alter your circumstances by altering your thought patterns, altering your actions, and thusly, altering your thought patterns, altering your choices, and thusly altering your actions. All that being said, now I'm going to address questions in the comment section. So if you got one, go ahead and post it. We're going to get through these and we're going to see where the questions take us. We got LA in the house. Andy from LA. We got another LA in the house. Money May says, I posted about Steve Nash. Would I explicate my input and opinions on it? See my Twitter. Go to my Twitter timeline. My Twitter is at Dre All Day, Money May 604. I talked about it in a few tweets. It ain't really that much more to say besides what I said on Twitter. Limelight says, do you think your confidence about yourself should ever depend on the opinion of others? Hell no. No. Understand how confidence works. Human beings, we judge each other based on how we present ourselves. So if you want other people to think highly of you, all you got to do is think highly of yourself first. Then you walk into the room that way. People see that. They perceive it. They think the same thing about you that you present to them. So now their opinion of you is going to be the opinion that you provided for them to have. So in one way, the initial answer in Limelight is no. But once they see you based on your perception of yourself, their opinion of you is going to be the same as yours. So in other words, the answer is still going to be no, but they're going to only think of you the way you think of you. So it's going to be the same thing anyway. Adrian says, why is it a wrap for Hillary? Because her credibility was destroyed in the last election cycle. She has no credibility. She may have actual credibility, but public perception is she has no credibility. That's why she lost. There were holes in her holes were poked in her credibility, and that's why Trump was able to snatch the election from her. It ain't like she lost by that much. It was very close, but that credibility gap cost her. Money said, I understand focus is a force multiplier, but with detriments of hunger, distress, physical fatigue, and mental burnout serve as destructive factors against an individual's focus. Well, shit, I think if I was hungry, it'd be hard for me to focus on what I was doing. I mean, it depends on how hungry I am. Depends on, there's levels to that. But would that be destructive factors? It depends on the individual person. So we can't say generally speaking, yes. Listen, I could be really hungry, but if I'm focused enough on what I'm doing, I don't even care that I'm hungry because I'm more focused on the thing that I'm doing. So that's very case by case relative to the person. Everybody has different levels of what they can take. Ice Juro says, Drake got to keep making streams or the sun won't go down. That's right. The sun is going down even more now. If I don't do the stream, the sun will just stay up all day. Let's see. ABDZ says, politics is a show and Trump is a salesperson. Yeah, I've said this many times. Trump is he's a great salesperson. Y'all don't see in the next 60 days, he's going to go back into his sales game. Even more of it. He's already on his sales game. He's going to go back into it. Next 60 days is going to be very interesting. That's all I can say. I think the election's on the 3rd, so we're looking at almost exactly 60 days. So the next 60 or so days are going to be very, very interesting. Actually, the rest of the year, because no matter who wins, it's going to be crazy. Darby says, there is no fair even between people raised in the same household. That's true. Life is a choice. That's right. Ice Juro says, when is it a good idea to compare yourself with others to know where I am? And where should I look at how I am achieving my goals to know where I am? Why can't you do both? You can compare yourself to other people if you want to use them as a measuring stick in some ways, but your ultimate potential is really based on what you're capable of. You just got to be careful when you measure yourself against other people, because they might not even be half of, their potential might not be even be half of yours. So you might be better than them, but you're still only half of what you could be. So you can use other people in spurts, but generally you want to look at yourself, because your potential might be way higher than somebody else's. So don't limit yourself to just being better than them, because you could be way higher than them. And if you're going to compare yourself to somebody, compare yourself to somebody who's all way up, not somebody who's just okay. But that's something you learn over time. ABDZ said, I believe everything in your life is your fault. And that's a good thing, which means you had the power to change it. Nobody can do it for you. Yes, your responsibility, your fault. You read Buy a Game, you're going to cop this next. Oh, that's what's up. Shout out to everybody who read Buy a Game. Y'all can get Buy a Game. You can read Buy a Game, the PDF right now, workonmygame.com/buyagame. BUYAGAME. But this one right here, mirrorofmotivation.com. Question is, Matt Wall says, what are my thoughts on reform versus defund the police? Well, I think people who are talking that defund the police should be black people from the hood. The last thing they want is the police to get defunded, because if the police get defunded, the crime in the hood is going to go up ridiculously, and they're going to be the very ones in trouble. So they don't really want to defund the police. They're just saying that because they're emotionally engaged over what they saw on social media with the videos and stuff like that. People from the hood do not want the police defunded. Unless you got a gun and you one of the criminals, you don't want the police defunded. And the criminals ain't out there protesting. It's the people it's the law-abiding citizens talking about defund the police. Don't even know what they're talking about. If the police stop working for one day, it'll get ugly out here real quick. And I live in a nice neighborhood. It'd be ugly out here if the police stop working for one day. So no, ain't no defunding the police. Reform the police. It ain't even so much that the police need to be reformed. I don't think the police need to be reformed. Maybe there can be some training that is done. Maybe some measures that can somehow, I'm not smart enough to decide what this would be, but there are smart people out there working on this. How can the police do police work without ending up resorting to shooting people? Maybe they can have a different weapon. The problem is the guns are already out in the society. So if criminals got guns, how you going to not allow the cops to have guns? If there are criminals with guns who shoot at cops, then the cops got to have guns to shoot back. All right, that, as Denzel said in Training Day, the only way you catch the wolves, you got to be a wolf to catch the wolf. So if there's a criminal with a gun, the only way you're going to stop that criminal with a gun is by having a gun yourself. And if the civilians can have guns, then the cops got to have guns. That's just what it is. Now, you can give them training so that maybe they don't use it in certain situations as often, but we don't know. We got to get all the facts of all these situations. So all these things that happen with cops and guns, I have not passed judgment on any of it. One thing I can say, I said this with the Derek Chauvin video with George Floyd. I said it with this latest one with Jacob Blake, that the video looks bad. It looks crazy what happened, but that does not necessarily mean that the cop is guilty of whatever they end up getting charged with. We got to find out when they go to court and all the evidence is presented. And unfortunately, when people are emotional, they don't want to hear that argument, what I just presented. Not even an argument. I'm just saying this is what we need to do, is just get all the evidence before we pass judgment on the cop or on the suspect. And right now, everybody's passing judgment on everything. I try to withhold judgment. I don't try to withhold judgment. I do withhold judgment until I get all the information. And right now, we don't have all the information. The George Floyd cops trial date is March 21st of next year. So how long is that? 7 months from now? People have already decided about that one. I haven't decided because I need to see all the information. And I want to hear what the cop has to say for himself. I haven't heard the cop say nothing. All I heard was, I ain't heard George Floyd say nothing. I ain't heard the cops say nothing. All I hear is everybody else talking who wasn't even involved in the situation. Matt Walsh said, I just answered that. AB says, do you think talking about all this politics gets tired and irritating? It's not. I'm not even really talking about politics. I'm using politics as a canvas for the topic, but this is not really about politics. This is about equality, because people are talking about equality. It's a current event. So I'm talking about that, but people are interested in it. Is why I've been talking for an hour and y'all listen to me, because there's a topic that people are interested in. So I'm talking about it, but I don't really talk about politics. I don't follow politics. I talk about politics on a level of that I can relate it back to my. Everybody know, those of y'all who follow me, y'all know what my framework is about. It's about personal development, personal accountability, looking yourself in the mirror, understanding what's happening and why it's happening, looking at things from maybe an angle that you haven't thought of before. So if we happen to need to if we need to talk about Donald Trump for y'all to get that point, then we'll talk about Trump. If we need to talk about LeBron, we'll talk about LeBron. If we need to talk about something that happened to me at the gas station, then we'll talk about me at the gas station. So it's whatever the situation that I think best describes the point that I want to make. That's the story that I'll tell. So sometimes it's politics, sometimes it's everyday life, sometimes it's some old shit from when I was playing basketball, sometimes it's something that happened when I was taking a walk. It could be different things. Politics is just one of the options. But to answer your question, I don't talk politics, I don't follow politics. I'm unqualified to talk politics. Actually, most people are unqualified to talk politics. Sports Lover says, what am I doing Labor Day weekend? I'm doing this. I'm talking to y'all. Ice Jero says, what's special about Mirror Motivation? Why should I read it first? I just told you. Did you not hear my sales pitch? This is the first book because people know what they want to have. They know what they need to do, or at least they think they do. They never ask who do I need to be. This book is about who you need to be. Being is the step one. That's the first step. Who do I need to be? The second step is what do I do? The third step is getting the result. So this is what you do first. Who do I need to be? That's why it's called the mirror. All right. It's not me hyping you up. This is you showing yourself who you need to be. That's why it's the first step. Money May says, are there instances in your life where you were racially profiled? Yeah, I'm sure. I get racially profiled every day. I get racially profiled every day. But not like a cop pulls me over, but I might be walking down the street and a white woman sees me and she never met a black guy before, especially a dude with a tank top on and muscles and tattoos, and she might be apprehensive. She don't say nothing. She don't do nothing. She don't call the cops. But is she profiling me? Yes. Some of y'all are profiling me right now. You looking at this video like, who is this dude talking about imbalance? He got a bandana on. He got a tank top. He got a hat on. He has tattoos. He's talking about why equality is impossible. And you're judging me. You're profiling me and trying to figure out who am I and why am I talking about this topic? We profile each other all day, every day. So do I get racially profiled? Yes. Every single day I get racially profiled. But not in a way that I feel that there's some kind of injustice or racism or something is wrong or I need to protest about it. But yes, I get profiled every day. Somebody said, am I going to bring back the Lot's computer story? No, I can't tell that story anymore. The climate is not susceptible to that story anymore, ABD, but you know the story and you know why I can't tell it anymore. So those of y'all don't know what that story is, you will never know because I can't tell it. That story, the climate has changed. I told that story like 10 years ago, but now I can't tell that story anymore. People are too sensitive. Playoff Perry says, just got the overseas book. That's what's up. Shout out to everybody who got the overseas basketball blueprint, which is right here. If you want to play overseas, you get this at balloverseas.com. I don't really promote that one as much anymore because if I feel like I give y'all too many things, you're going to forget and do nothing. So I just focus on one thing, mirrorofmotivation.com. Yeah, you remember that? Yeah, some of y'all remember that story, but if you know the story, then you know why I can't tell the story. So, I mean, we got the whole movement. We got all kinds of movements and all different letters and all that these days. You can't talk about that no more. So, anyway, all that being said, everybody, I do these lives every single day. If you do not have any of my books, start with this one, mirrorofmotivation.com. I got a lot of books. After you put in your information to get this book free, on the very next page, this is a whole automated system. On the next page, we're going to make you an offer for more and more and more. All right, we got all this set up. We're professionals over here. We know exactly what we're doing. Just follow us. Just do what I'm telling you to do, and everything's going to be fine. Mirrorofmotivation.com. This is where you start. All right, question. I'm answering one more question. When did I stop hooping? 2015. I've been an entrepreneur since 2009. Actually, I've been an entrepreneur since 2002. I've been making my own stuff since 2009. I stopped hooping in 2015. Matt Walsh. Just Dime said, are you still interviewing players that want to play overseas. I'm more focused on the overall general audience, just Dons, but you can sign up for the call. Go to WOYFG.com. You can still sign up. If you are in my audience, you can sign up for the free call with me one-on-one. I'm going to ask the questions. All you do is answer them. That's at WOYFG.com. WOYFG stands for workonyourfuckinggame.com. So anybody who didn't know what that stood for, if that offends you, then the call is not for you. All right? WOYFG.com, you can get the call for free. But the main thing to remember, mirrorofmotivation.com. All right, I'm staying up tonight to watch this Milwaukee-Miami game. I got to see with my own 2 eyes what's going on and see if Milwaukee's about to go down 3-0. We're going to see. Everybody have a great weekend. I will be going live again tomorrow. Don't know what time. Just have your notifications on. Y'all be on Instagram all day anyway. Y'all find me when I go live. That's that. Mirrormotivation.com. Work on your game. Have a great Friday.